are you? Who? That's for a song by The Who. Can I see some ID, please? Hello again, everyone. I'm Eli's dad with Project Eli, where we educate, we lead, and we inspire. And today we're going to talk about ID. Who are you? First thing I want to explain is you are a human being, not a human doing. What's the difference? People fail to change because they try to change their behaviors without changing their identity. Who do you think you are? All right? Sometimes that's a question asked like, who do you think you are? All right? And sometimes it's asked like, so, who do you think you are? That's the way we're going to ask it today. If you are somebody that wants to, let's say, lose weight, and you say, well, I'm a big bone guy, and this and that, that's your identity, and then you try and do things to lose the weight. How about instead of saying that, you say, I am a top-ranked athlete, and I'm an athletic freak, and I do the things that athletes do. Well, if you think of yourself that way, then you're not going to eat that extra piece of chocolate cake because athletes don't do that. Does that make some sense? We try to change our behavior before you change your identity. And that creates a conflict with your ego. And that prevents real change from happening. You are a human being. You have to become that person that you want to be. Be a human being, not a human doing. A human doing is someone that's doing an action, but it's in conflict with who you think you are. And if you think that way, you're not going to be an achiever. To manifest real change in life, identity shifts have to precede any desired behavioral shift. And you've got to form identities that are easy to reinforce. You know, if you see yourself as a fit human being and you think of yourself that way, think those thoughts. You know, I remember in high school, and Eli was just like you. There were all the different temptations around that are around with you today, and I'm not going to go into those, but I was a basketball player, and a lot of my friends were saying, come on, you know, let's do this, let's do that. And then I would go back to my identity and say, no, I'm an athlete. And I actually would say that to them. I say, I don't do that, I'm an athlete. And they would laugh, you know, but I really believed, hey, I'm an athlete, and athletes don't do those things. Okay? And to this day, even though I'm 900 years old and not as vibrant as I used to be, I still think of myself as an athlete. It's my persona. So I do things that way. You maintain the identity. Now, and the other thing is, you add identities. You know, I remember, Eli, when you were first born, you probably don't remember this, okay? But when you were first born and you came, you know, we took you home from the hospital, and your mom said, here, hold your son. And it's like, uh-oh, am I going to break him? You know, I was a guy. But as time went along, I stopped being a guy and I started being a dad. One of the things that helped me out to that end was, hey, you got to go change his diaper, all right? That'll make you a dad real fast. And my relationship with you is unique. It's different from the relationship that I have with any other person on this planet. Why? Because I try as hard as I can to be a guy with you, but I can't help it. I'm a dad. That's my identity with you. I'm not a dad with anybody else. I'm just a dad with you. And when we communicate together, when we do things together, it's always from that perspective. And it never changes, Eli. It never changes. You have an identity, and you keep that identity. I remember when I used to come in from California to come visit my dad in the Boston area. I'd fly in, and of course I'd go and see my friends. I'd borrow his car and go see some friends, and he would wait up, till like, I'd get home, let's say around midnight, and then when I pulled the car into the driveway, I'd see the light go off in his bedroom. Why? Because he was my dad. And even though I'm 30 years old, 40 years old, I think we'll stop there, I was still his son. He was still my dad. Our conversations always came from that perspective. And the thing is, you've got to assume that identity. It happens in everything that you do. First, when I was becoming a teacher, first I was a student teacher, then a teacher, and you're thinking about all the little things you're doing, and then finally you get a little confidence in what you're doing, and you say, you know what? I'm the teacher here. I'm not listening. And then you make the decisions. Same thing with coaching. I'm the coach here. Same thing with being a mentor. All right? I get in front of this camera. I'm very comfortable. Eli, I'm your mentor. Let me give you some advice. Let me go over some things, some life lessons for you. That is my identity here. And, I see it on the opposite end also. I mean, Eli, one of your cousins, Julian, as an example, was kind of a little chunky kid, all right? I mean, he was a sophomore in high school, and he was a bit chunky, but he went out for the wrestling team. And he went out for the wrestling team, and he started to lose all this weight, and he got himself down to whatever category, weight class he wanted to be. And so as a sophomore, he went out and, didn't wrestle so much. Then he got better as a junior, and I was so proud of him because his body just like got sculpted down, and he was really moving forward. And then I don't understand the reasons why, but as a senior, I hear, okay, he's quitting the wrestling team. And I said to your mom, that's a huge mistake. His mom can't let him do that. If he does that, he's going to be a quitter. And she let him do that. You can't do things like that. You have to assume the identity of the person that you are becoming. That's the only way you're going to advance, to move forward. So right now, one of the things for you is to assume the persona of a basketball player. What do basketball players do? All right? Keep those things in mind when you're out there with your friends that don't think like basketball players. Just kind of a word to the wise, And another example of that is, President Trump, appointed these people to the Supreme Court with the concept like, oh, well, they'll be on my side. Well, these people are justices. Their identity was, I'm a justice. And so when an issue that he wanted to present to the court came up, they didn't think like he thought. They thought like justices. Why? Because that was their identity. They did the right thing. Both the external world and the internal desire for instant gratification you're going to feel some drive to break your identity. But you can't let that happen. If you break your identity once, it becomes easier to break it again and again, and you form a vicious circle. Protect your identity from the world and from yourself. And as you keep learning, you're going to find other habits to help you grow in particular different areas of life. And instead of just trying to follow the habits, add them to your existing identity and become that person. Instead of trying to do, decide to be. And if you weigh 200 pounds and you want to lose weight, don't try to exercise. Tell the world and yourself that you're a fitness freak, and in no time, you're going to have a body that fits that label. Stop trying to do, start to be. You're a human being, not a human doing. And if you want to fly to your desired destination, ask the same question of yourself that the ticket agent asks you when you get to the airport. May I see your ID? And if that person asks me that question, I'll say, okay, I'm a dad, I'm a teacher, I'm a coach. That's my ID. Here's pictures of me with my son. Here's pictures of me with my class. Here's pictures of me making a video. That's my ID. You're a human being, not a human doing. So become that identity that you want to be. And because we never end a meeting on a philosophical note, let's all get out there and be and take charge. I'm Eli's dad.